we, I'm talking about the city of Chicago, persons, always had a strong vestige in Las Vegas. Back to the days when Las Vegas became a place for legitimate gambling. But the big money was made by skimming from the casinos, and the money was also made by taking bets, not in the casinos, but on the street, because they have to pay taxes on that. So it was very lucrative in many respects.
But they also start skimming money. Yes, they would take the coins and they would weigh them, which is the law here. That's how you count them, and you weigh them. And they would fix the scales. Then they'd take the coins to the change girls and turn them in. The change girls would give them bills for the coins, and then they'd take them to home.
It was done with what's called a fill slip scam. Basically, to keep track of the revenue on certain games, there's an accounting document that's generated. It shows that a certain number of chips are sent to a particular game and a particular table. That is usually signed by all the individuals involved in the transaction. In this occasion, in this scam, a fill slip would be generated showing, let's say, $10,000 to a particular game. But the chips would not be delivered. It would create then an overage in the cage, in the main cashier's area. That money then can be removed in the form of currency. The chips have a cash equivalency, and it can be removed in cash.
Our first boss, to my knowledge, in Las Vegas was Marshall Cafano, who's still very much alive and serving a 30-year term in Oxford, Wisconsin, for various federal crimes. He was sent there by the mob because he was a type of a person, he was a playboy type, but he didn't do a very good job.
Marshall Cafano made a big mistake. He went into the El Rancho, which was sort of a local place, but owned by a Hollywood man. And this guy didn't have any connections with the mob. He owned it by himself, and he had a security guard throw out Marshall Cafano. Yes. 3 weeks later, his place burned to the ground. We all stood out in front and watched the fire burn right to the ground. They never rebuilt again. That man never came back to Las Vegas again. Yes, and so Cafano was the predecessor, and they decided, hey, we need somebody less violent, because this man had a history. I mean, he was accused once of burning up a girl in Chicago, Estelle Carey. You know, he had, and they're very violent. He was a violent man. So they brought in Roselli, and as we say in our book, Sam Giancana, the mob in Chicago, said the best thing ever happened in Las Vegas was bringing John Roselli in.
Roselli was a gentleman. He was a ladies' man. He liked to eat well. He liked good food, good wine, beautiful women. He was not a violent person as far as we knew. He had friends in the entertainment business, movie stars, politicians. He liked to travel in those kinds of circles. So he was a much different character. I think he was still doing the bidding of the mob bosses back east and in Chicago, but he was a different sort himself.
Because Roselli was part of the Capone mob. And after all of those are dying off, and Giancana becomes the godfather here in Chicago, he still had Roselli out on the West Coast as a great, I mean, this guy has already established everything out there.
When the sun goes down over the western horizon, Las Vegas becomes a city of multicolored neon signs and exciting entertainment. Bathing suits and sports togs are put aside for informal evening wear in this Broadway of the desert.
Chicago's role and influence in Las Vegas stems primarily from the Chicago mob's role in that time with the Central States Pension Fund of the Teamsters Union. And it was that fund that was utilized to finance a number of Las Vegas casinos.
The Teamsters Union was virtually controlled by organized crime, by Midwest organized crime. They would decide which properties got what loans, they would, as a condition of those loans, demand that their own people be placed in those hotels so that the mobsters would be stealing from the hotels, in essence, stealing from the Teamsters pension fund that had made it all possible. But there was a man named Alan Dorfman in Chicago, a very influential businessman, who in essence was the conduit for most of the Teamster loans to Las Vegas. He was the guy who made the decisions. He was also the guy who collected a lot of the skim money, according to the FBI. Alan Dorfman, of course, was assassinated.
The end product of this business is cash. And it's so lucrative that it's difficult to ignore by the traditional organized crime groups in the United States. And that was their objective. Let's make money. Let's produce revenue.
Here comes a lawyer out of nowhere from San Diego, Alan Glick, bright young guy who somehow finagles Teamster loans enough to create a gambling empire, the Argent Corporation, and is making millions of dollars. I think Alan Glick was honored as Las Vegas Man of the Year one year, and at the time while he is being honored that way, the FBI already has suspicions that he is nothing but a front man. He denied it many times, but he definitely looked the other way.